It's 8 o'clock. This is the UK Tonight. Coming up, the race to contain the spread of Hantavirus as the number of confirmed cases rises. UK health officials say any British passengers on board the cruise ship at the centre of this outbreak will likely be asked to isolate for 45 days. It comes as the World Health Organization insists the risk to the wider public is low, and this is not the start of another pandemic. Also tonight, the mother of a British woman killed by her father in Texas calls on US authorities to reopen the case into her daughter's death. 23-year-old Lucy Harrison was shot last year, and I've been speaking to her mum, Jane, who believes the initial investigation into her death was flawed. Plus, a man is arrested for possession of an offensive weapon close to the former Prince Andrew's home. We'll have the details. And I speak to the England girls team competing in the Street Child World Cup, which kicks off in Mexico this week. All that to come and much more on the UK Tonight. We begin tonight with the latest on the hantavirus outbreak. The number of confirmed cases now up to 5. A British man with the disease has told Sky News he's isolating in hospital after he was evacuated from the virus-stricken cruise ship. 2 other Brits are self-isolating at home and are said not to be experiencing any symptoms. Well, the race is now on to contain the spread after the acknowledgement that there has been human-to-human transmission. It comes as UK health officials say British passengers on board the cruise ship will likely be asked to self-isolate for 45 days. Well, the boat is currently on its way to Tenerife, expected to dock there on Saturday. From Tenerife, Sky's Sadia Chowdhury has this report.
This sleepy dock on the south coast of Tenerife is about to get really busy. By the end of the weekend, expect to see a flurry of activity as the hantavirus-stricken cruise ship, the MV Hondius, arrives. It's making the locals nervous.
I really don't get why Spain allowed them to come in, but they are human beings too, so they need treatment and somebody to take care of them.
I'm really angry with the situation in Spain as always, because we always need to get everything here, doesn't matter the consequences.
A little bit scared, a little bit, yeah.
There's also a lot of opposition from the port workers here. They've expressed their anger of what they say is a lack of information around the transfer, and they've threatened to block the ship's entry. That could prove to be another obstacle. To keep the locals happy, but mainly to keep everyone on and off board safe, passengers and crew on board will need to be moved carefully off the ship. That is a challenge for the Spanish civil defence.
The evaluations will be carried out from the moment when we see that asymptomatic people are ready to be evacuated from our country. There will be a quick process. They will not leave the boat until the plane is there to take them to their countries. Once they leave the boat, they will be taken by road. It's about 10 minutes drive. This route will be provided by the shipping company, but under the supervision of the Spanish government.
With several hospitalisations already, the World Health Organization offered this reassurance.
This is not the start of a COVID pandemic. This is an outbreak that we see on a ship. This is not the same situation we were in 6 years ago. It doesn't spread the same way like coronaviruses do. It's very different. It's that close, intimate contact that we've seen. And most hantaviruses don't transmit between people at all.
For this Dutch family on holiday here, the arrival of the ship carrying their home country's flag is not a concern.
I actually heard that one of the patients has been to my hometown, has shipped to my hometown, but I wasn't very concerned about it. Yeah, I think they will handle it quite well.
Hantavirus has already disrupted the cruise ship's journey, and as it approaches its final stop, things are still far from smooth sailing. Sadia Chowdhury, Sky News, at Granadilla Port in Tenerife.
Let's take a closer look at what we know about the various cases of the virus and the spread so far. The ship's operator is saying 30 people disembarked on the island of St Helena in the South Atlantic on the 24th of April. Today, 3 people are in hospital in the Netherlands. These include a 41-year-old Dutch crew member who has hantavirus, along with 2 other suspected cases, 56-year-old British expedition leader Martin Anstey and a Dutch flight attendant. Elsewhere, we know a 65-year-old German woman, also suspected of having the virus, is at a hospital in Dusseldorf. Another confirmed case is in Switzerland, where an unknown male is being treated at a hospital in Zurich. And a British man with Hantavirus is currently being treated in South Africa, in Johannesburg. Beyond this, officials are on alert in other parts of the world as well. People self-isolating with suspected symptoms in the UK, France, the United States, and also in Singapore. Well, here we can see live tracking of the cruise ship's current location. It is heading towards Tenerife, as I said, due to dock there on Saturday. We'll continue to bring you updates on this story throughout the evening as we get them here on Sky News. Now, some news coming into us earlier. A man arrested for possession of an offensive weapon. This is close to the home of Andrew Mountbatten Windsor. His new home is on the Sandringham estate. It follows reports that the former prince had been threatened while out walking his dogs. Sky's Phoebe Southworth has been following this story since it broke a little earlier this afternoon. Phoebe, what do we know about the details?
Well, this all started to unfold, Esther, at about 7:30 last night in Wolferton. So this village is on the Sandringham estate. It's a little village. And Norfolk police say a man was there essentially behaving in an intimidating manner. No mention of who the alleged victim was of the alleged offence. But what we do know is that it happened close to Marsh Farm. And as you've mentioned, this is the place where the former Duke of York, Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, is now living. It's a 5-bedroom home as part of that estate. He moved there, of course, last year from the Royal Lodge in Windsor after an acrimonious and very public fall from grace, as we know, that lost him his title of Prince. And it was reported today by the Telegraph and other outlets that the former Duke of York was the person who was targeted last night. The Telegraph say he was walking his dogs and a man wearing a balaclava essentially ran up to him shouting. We don't yet know exactly how that unfolded, but we do know that Andrew was very quickly whisked away in a car by his security detail. And Norfolk police have now said they've arrested a man on suspicion of a public order offence and possession of an offensive weapon. We don't yet know what weapon figured in this or any more, and he is being questioned.
You mentioned a security team there. Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, no longer a prince, no longer a royal in that sense, but he is on a royal estate, on Sandringham estate. What kind of security does he have these days?
Well, the king does give him an annual stipend, essentially, which he can spend in any way he wants. So that would be something he could use if he chose to cover his security arrangements. So we can only assume he has decided to apportion a bit of that to his security, but a very worrying situation for him and presumably those who are supposed to be looking after him. OK, Phoebe, thank you for the update on that. A Border Force officer and a retired Hong Kong police superintendent have been found guilty of spying for China here in the UK. Peter Wei and Bill Yoon were arrested following an MI5 sting and convicted of assisting a foreign intelligence service under the National Security Act. Sky's Henry Vaughan has this report.
Hello, ma'am. Ma'am, can you open up? We need to investigate the leak.
A desperate attempt to lure a wanted woman out of her West Yorkshire flat.
Ma'am.
But while their outfits might look the part, prosecutors said this was a shadow or unofficial police operation directed by two men now convicted of working for China.
Ma'am. Hello, can you please open the door?
For days they watched and targeted a woman called Monica Kwong. She'd fled from Hong Kong to Pontefract, accused of a multi-million-pound fraud which she denies.
Do you really want us to keep knocking on this door all night?
They tried to coax her out, even using a fake delivery driver, with no authority under UK law. They slid a camera under her door to try to see inside, and eventually poured in water in what prosecutors said was a plan to capture her. Jurors couldn't decide whether this amounted to foreign interference. But while the spies were watching Monica, they didn't realise they were being followed themselves by MI5. Police swarmed in and arrested them. The group's ringleader, retired Hong Kong police superintendent Bill Wen. Prosecutors said the 65-year-old ran the spy operation from his office, working for the Hong Kong government in London. He recruited 38-year-old ex-Met police officer Peter Wei and Matthew Trickett, a former Royal Marine. who used their jobs in borders and immigration to research their targets on Home Office databases. 37-year-old Trickett took his own life before the trial began. But Wen and Wai, who was paid up to £2,000 per month, are the first people to be found guilty of spying for China under the new National Security Act. Among their many targets, China-sceptic MPs like Ian Duncan Smith. But their main focus was Hong Kong exiles living in the UK, wanted by China after the crackdown on pro-democracy demonstrations in 2019. They included activist Nathan Law, who the spies filmed going into the Oxford Union to give a speech in 2023. The group also targeted Labour rights campaigner Christopher Mung. Hong Kong authorities have offered £100,000 for any tip-offs leading to his capture.
I didn't realize that I was being targeted by the spies. I feel not safe, even though I'm not based in Hong Kong anymore, even though I'm living in the UK. Whenever I go out, I have to bring my personal alarm. I have to be alerted about the suspicious people approaching me. I have to concern about the safety of my family.
So while dissidents like Christopher welcome today's convictions, they say the UK government must do more to protect the exiles who've made Britain their home and to keep pursuing those who threaten them. Henry Vaughan, Sky News.
The mother of a 23-year-old British woman who was shot and killed by her father in Texas last year has called on US authorities to reopen the case into her daughter's death. A British inquest into Lucy Harrison's death ruled that she died due to unlawful killing on the grounds of gross negligence manslaughter. That ruling, coming after police in America didn't bring a criminal case against her father, Chris Harrison, because a grand jury failed to indict him. I've been speaking to Lucy's mum, Jane Coates. Jane doesn't believe that her ex-partner meant to kill their daughter, but she told me that there were failings in the US investigation. I started by asking her about the moment she found out her daughter had died.
So I was in bed, asleep, and it was about 2 o'clock in the morning, and I woke up to hear banging on my door. I kind of took a while to be, awoken and wondered what was going on. And I think you'd think that if you hear banging at your door at 2 o'clock in the morning, something really awful will have happened. But it didn't register really. You just don't think that these things are going to happen to you. Why would you? I was just living my life, my normal life. I went down and it was Sam, Lucy's boyfriend's mum, at the door, and she said it was her, let her in. So I opened the door and she told me that there had been an accident and Lucy had been shot and she's not made it. And I just couldn't comprehend that at all. And I know I just ran up the stairs, just shouting no. And then we sat on the edge of my bed and I said, am I dreaming? And she said no.
What do you know about what happened?
So, yeah, Lucy it had been snowing. Lucy used to get very anxious and worried about things if they didn't go to plan. So she was stressing about whether or not she'd be able to make the flight back home. They'd played out in the snow in the morning, they'd packed up. And I think from both speaking with Sam, Lucy's boyfriend...
Who was there with her at Dad's house.
Yeah. And then having some information from Dallas when I spoke to the detective, that Lucy had gone into the bedroom. It's on the ground floor, and she'd gone into the bedroom alone with her dad 15 minutes before she was due to go to the airport. Her dad had claimed that Lucy, they were talking about guns because a segment came on the TV. That's what he claimed, which prompted Lucy to ask him about his, did he have a gun? He said he'd got a gun, do you want to see it? Which then, he said, Lucy then went into the room and he showed her his gun. And as he picked it up, the gun just went off. That, to me, didn't make any sense. even in those early days.
The investigation into what happened to Lucy in that bedroom at her dad's house, as you said, 15 minutes before she was due to leave for the airport, that investigation was wrapped up in 6 hours, with the police in Texas concluding that there was no case for Lucy's dad to answer. How does that sit with you? Your daughter was shot by her dad in his home, and it was all over in a matter of hours, effectively.
I feel that she's just been so let down. I feel anger. My anger isn't shouty and raging. I have a steely determination to call this out and to make sure the truth is heard. I am so grateful for our UK coroner for looking at all of the evidence. She had all of the evidence, downward trajectory. There was a diagram that was included in the inquest bundle, which shows the positioning of the gun case, the casing, and Lucy's bloodstains on the floor, which were just off the ensuite to the bedroom, which showed that Lucy was not stood next to Chris as he had claimed. And I feel anger that the police actually took the time to draw this diagram, to see the measurements, to see where Lucy fell in relation to where the gun casing was, the shell casing, sorry. And yet for me, it was like they have chosen to not follow the physical evidence.
They also questioned your ex-husband about his drinking, and, you know, again, this is all on record. You didn't get to see much of this physical and written evidence until it was given to the UK coroner. But he was questioned about his drinking, and it was decided not to breathalyse him. And you made a really good point that actually within like 10, 15 minutes of that shooting, he was actually due to drive Lucy and her boyfriend to the airport.
Yeah, so finally we managed to get through to the first prosecutor. That was on the 14th of February, was the first time that we actually had the conversation with the first prosecutor that had access to Lucy's case. And when we raised that with him, first of all, and he said he hadn't seen everything yet, so he'd look into it. But I said, you know, Lucy and Sam were due to be driven back by her dad, and he said, yeah, they were due to be driven back, weren't they? So he wouldn't have been drinking alcohol, would he? And there was an assumption made by the first prosecutor that, you know, well, he wouldn't have been over the limit or he wouldn't have been impaired because he was due to drive them back. And in fact, in the statement that I wrote to the coroner, my statement said that just shows the level of recklessness, that he was secretly drinking. He was concealing his drinking from his family that morning, and yet he was still willing to drive Lucy and Sam to the airport in really quite treacherous conditions because it was very snowy as well.
Now you have that information from the UK coroner, that ruling, what do you want to see happen? Because it's a complete contrast with what was concluded by an investigation carried out in the United States in Texas.
What we want is to be able to have diplomatic pressure and support to be able to get the case reopened in the US, to be able to expose the failings in the investigation. We were told, for example, like I know now that the gun, it went off to be checked. There were no modifications on it. The gun was in full working order. So there is no way that it could have just gone off. We were told by the first prosecutor that it takes 5.5 pounds of pressure to pull a trigger on that particular model. So we were told by the Texas Ranger when we had a Teams call in March that Chris would have had to have pointed the gun at his daughter and have pulled the trigger, but they said they just couldn't prove it because there was nobody else in the room and Chris's count could have been plausible. And I just don't think that is good enough.
Have you ever spoken to Lucy's dad, your former partner, about what happened?
I spoke to him on the day, well, on the Saturday the 11th, And I also can't tell you what... the conversation was just, like I've just said now, what I don't understand. It was just very, very fragmented, and none of us really spoke. And then I couldn't tell you what I actually said to him. I received a letter from him just before the outcome of the grand jury. I was not in a place to read it, but I knew that I had to have sight of if there was anything in there at all that might have helped with the inquest. So I had a trusted person to read that letter for me and to kind of relay the information in that letter. And quite frankly, the very thing that I would think that he should have written about what happened in that room, he didn't.
I think it's only right we finish our interview by talking about Lucy. As you said, your manner is not to shout and scream. It is to get on with it, to know what the truth is and to push forward for Lucy. What do you think she would be making about what you're doing on her behalf?
She was more shouty than me. She'd just want to do what is right.
Yeah.
And Lucy was incredibly loyal, but she had a real, true moral compass, and it always pointed north. And she was a real advocate for social justice. She did sociology at A-level. And we used to have conversations about everything, you know, big issues, small issues. And she would absolutely want her truth, and she would want justice, and she would want the right thing to prevail. Because even though the right thing may be uncomfortable and it may be hard, she would recognise that because it's the right thing to do.
Well, a huge thank you to Jane Coates for telling Lucy's story to us here on The UK Tonight. Still to come. A warning from Gareth Southgate that kids are missing out on sport because their parents simply can't afford the kit. Also ahead, former England rugby captain Moody opening up on his motor neurone disease diagnosis. And we'll be hearing from the England girls team competing in the Street Child World Cup in Mexico this week.
I urge you not to look away. If Hamas hands the hostages over, they will end this conflict. The world has been watching.
Good to see you again. How are you?
Did she say how he was?
The conditions are awful.
The jets were ordered to come back. Historic day here today. How will you respond if India does launch airstrikes?
They'll be allowed to war.
I'm just going to put some body armour on.
I'm Yalda Hakim.
Now, we are well versed in the importance of encouraging children to take time away from screens, to get outside instead and keep active. Well, now Sir Gareth Southgate is warning that too many children are missing out on that time outside on playing sport because their parents can't afford to kit them out. The former England manager was speaking at an event to promote the Multibank charity, which helps families access essential items, including sports equipment. Well, we're joined now by the Chief Executive of Multibank, Bob Gamori. And Bob, really good to have you on the programme this evening. Sir Gareth Southgate highlighting a really crucial issue. The statistics quite startling. 1 in 6 parents saying that they can't afford sports kit or equipment for their kids.
Yes, indeed, Sarah, and good evening. I think what Sir Gareth Southgate has done is add his voice to the many voices that have pointed out the fact that a lot of families are finding it very difficult to kit their kids out for school in sports gear, but also to prepare them properly for going to school, to give them access to all the things that will help their talents come to the fore. And this initiative, which Sir Gareth is leading with the help of our principal partner, Amazon, is just an example of what we need to do as a society to encourage kids to bring their sporting talents to the fore.
At Multibank, you help families with a whole range of essentials, from, you know, food to footwear, the essentials like hygiene products, but you also help them with sports equipment as well. What are some of the stories that parents have been telling you about the impact this is having on their children, not being able to provide them with a pair of football boots or the right cricket kit, for example, at school?
Yeah, well, I think there are many stories, but one story that sticks in my mind is a mother who admitted that her twin boys could only go and play football on alternate weeks because they only had one pair of boots between them. Now, that's not right. I mean, one of those lads could have been the next English international, or indeed the next Scottish internationalist, and his talent wasn't being nurtured, and that's not the way we want our society to function. And we in the Multibank are trying to help parents as much as possible by giving them access to essential products so that they can spare the cash to afford to give their kids the opportunities that we want them to have. And as I say, Amazon are huge partners in that, as indeed are Sky, Centrica and many other organisations who have all committed to this cause.
Yeah, and as any parent will know, when your child is interested in sport, you try and encourage that, but we know how quickly they grow out of kit as well. So any kind of sport can end up being a really expensive hobby or interest for a family. And there are so many barriers now, aren't there, for children getting involved in sport, and one of them is screens. So it's really good for Sir Gareth Southgate to come into this space to talk openly about it. Talk to me about the work that you at Multibank do. What is your plan going forward to help these families?
Well, in the last 4 years since Gordon Brown set up the charity, we've distributed 16 million items to families throughout the United Kingdom. We now have 6 multi-banks operational, and a 7th we're hoping will be operational in Leeds in the autumn. And those multi-banks focus on giving essential goods to charities, social workers, health workers, community groups, to pass on to families so that in some way, as I say, it gives them a chance to take some of the household budget and spend it on their kids and spend it on their pursuits like sport or indeed art and acting, creative arts. I mean, one of our big supporters is David Tennant. He has spoken of getting kids into the creative arts, and I think it's that type of opportunity that we need to give our children. Help them at school, help them bring themselves out of themselves in many ways, and I'm glad that we in the Multibank, through what we refer to as the Coalition of Compassion, are doing a little to help in that way.
Bob, any families watching tonight who are thinking, do you know what, I could do with your help for my kids, how do they get in touch? And equally, people watching at home tonight saying, how can I help? You know, I want to encourage, you know, those children who don't have the equipment to get out there and fulfil their dream or just enjoy their hobby.
Well, Amazon have obviously offered an opportunity for people to buy material on their site, and they will then donate one item to the Multibank, to the kids that need it. For those that are needing help, we are in 7 areas of the United Kingdom. If they talk to their local community groups, local charities, health workers, social workers, if we're in that area, we'll do all that we can to help that family.
Yeah, good old Amazon wish lists. I know so many charities and organisations use those for people to go directly to websites like Amazon and others to select items that are needed by organisations like yours. And if people want more information, themultibank.co.uk. Bob Gamori, really good to have your company this evening. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sarah-Jane. Thank you.
Still to come here on the UK Tonight, we go inside the UK operation to keep seafarers safe in the Strait of Hormuz. And former England rugby captain Lewis Moody opens up on his motor neurone disease diagnosis.
A lot of local and national seats are up for grabs.
Waiting for the people's vote on who will sit in them.
It's your chance to have a say
on who has a seat at the table. Follow Sky News as we give you the best seats in the House.
From voting
to the results,
the analysis,
and what comes next. Join us for Vote 26. Get the full story fast on Sky News.
Sky News has been given exclusive data showing every Palestinian who has been killed in Gaza since the war began. Our analysis of this pattern in the killings suggests that entire families were wiped out in their homes or shelters. The data and forensics team is a multi-skilled unit dedicated to providing transparent journalism from Sky News. We located footage of the aid drop to a tent camp in central Gaza.
These airdrops are falling in extremely populated areas.
We combine traditional reporting with advanced analysis of satellite imagery, social media, and other open source information. And this is just one of the strikes and incidents we've been able to geolocate across Gaza. Sky News has found Nazi speeches and marching music have been used as background sound on tens of thousands of TikTok videos as far-right groups try and spread their message. Sky News has seen 72,000 posts used in this way. There's no evidence yet of foul play at Heathrow. It shows weaknesses that enemies could take advantage of. Elon Musk says it is, quote, a viper's nest of radical left Marxists who hate America. Supporters say it saves lives and projects American power and influence.
I think we would generally be called far right, sure.
It's called Return to the Land, and they invited me in.
A lot of people are going to be, why are you making Nazi references?
Right.
Well, why wouldn't I?
Its founder says he is building a fortress for the white race.
It's a racial association. I kind of want to ask you, after seeing this, do you think what we're doing is immoral?
We followed a social media trail that led us to Bristol, where a confrontation between protesters erupted into a full-scale riot.
Here it really is pitched battle skirmishes, hurling missiles, throwing punches.
I'm Tom Cheshire, Sky's data and forensics correspondent.
The Iran war has created a crisis for global trade, with Tehran forcing the closure of the Strait of Hormuz by attacking tankers trying to traverse the narrow waterway. Tens of thousands of seafarers are now stuck in the Persian Gulf, with their safety being monitored by an emergency service of sorts here in the UK. Our business and economics correspondent, Paul Kelsey, has been finding out how it all works.
This is the Operations Centre of UK Maritime Trade Operations, UKMTO. It tracks commercial shipping in contested waters around the world, off the coast of East Africa, here in the Red Sea, and critically right now in the Strait of Hormuz. We can see it here, the hazardous area boxed off. These red lines, they're effectively Iranian border control. They've told all vessels inside this zone they need to get out or face attack. And if and when those attacks are to come, this is where those ships will call. They come in on a phone number that's on the bridge of every commercial vessel. This is like 999 for cargo ships and tankers in trouble.
Can you confirm the name of the vessel again to me, please, sir? And how can I help you?
Information received here is shared with ship owners, with coalition partners, with regional search and rescue where necessary to coordinate help if required. And crucially, it is shared publicly so that other vessels can react accordingly to any danger. Now, since the war began, they've seen transits through the Strait of Hormuz come down from 130 a day, 65 or so in each direction, to just 10. And in the last 48 hours, since Donald Trump abandoned US plans to escort vessels and diplomatic progress appears to be being made, well, 0 vessels have made that transit.
We're taking calls from merchant vessels from contested waters, particularly where they feel they might be under threat of attack or they've seen something suspicious. We cover all the threats that are available in that area, so from piracy to state action to terrorist action. We're sharing verified and can be alarms going in the background, sirens, and sometimes we've even heard shots as well. So our watchkeepers are trained to keep clear and calm at all times. Until there is more certainty on how safe it is and where it is safe for their seafarers to go, they are not able to make those movements. So they're really looking for leadership and stability before they can start to recover. And we'll need to start with some kind of evacuation, humanitarian evacuation, because we've got around 20,000 seafarers who are stuck inside the straits at the moment.
With more than 800 vessels stranded on the western side of the Strait of Hormuz, even if and when the waters are safe, it will take weeks for them to clear and months before global supply lines return to normal. And here, they'll watch all that happen.
Former England rugby captain Lewis Moody says nothing could have prepared him for the response he received after revealing his motor neurone disease diagnosis. The 2003 Rugby World Cup winner told Sky Sports News' Gail Davis that he still gets emotional thinking about the support he's been given.
Your brain is just given a piece of information that changes your outlook on the future. And actually that allows you real clarity around how you approach day-to-day living and doing.
Winning all your life has sort of been about coming first, hasn't it? What does it winning on a daily basis mean to you?
Oh, wow. When do I feel? That's an excellent question. When I feel at ease, at peace, I've recognised, whereas the athlete mindset is everything about pushing and driving, it's almost the exact opposite with MND.
Is there a time, Lewis, when you don't think about it?
Yeah. Normally totally distracted, playing touch. I don't feel any different because I can do everything that I want to still. So I don't dwell on the future, not that those thoughts don't come into my mind, because they do. Whenever I get emotional is when I think about the support that people are giving, the love that I've felt, that we felt. That's when even now, you just...
It's your trigger.
Yeah, it is. If I talk about myself, I can talk quite frankly, quite pragmatically about it all. But if I talk about, always hits me again. It's weird. Because you're not given any information initially, and it feels unbelievably negative, and all the noise around it is negative, and all your thought process is negative. But actually, when you sit down with other specialists and other people in that space that have been operating in there for a long time, and they start giving you information, and you start realizing that, no one individual is obviously the same. No person's experience of it is the same. The time that progression takes is different for everyone.
The strength you said is still there. So it was originally in the shoulder, and it's become a little bit weaker since the initial diagnosis?
Yeah, so absolutely, yeah. So the back of the shoulder was where it started and where it continues. And I suppose, in terms of the uncertainty piece that I talked about earlier, is that one of the things that the specialist said is that, where it starts, it likely continues. So, so it obviously has I've lost more in the shoulder, but not significantly.
Okay.
A week or two ago, I had loss of strength in middle fingers, and that hit me really hard because it coincided with, a couple of difficult conversations, and so I had 2 days of, mentally feeling hit. But then you quickly come out of it.
What's the thing that makes you saddest?
If you dwell on the future and the assumption that you will experience certain things, we all think we'll reach a certain place or things we'll see and be involved in. So, the things that you will miss, that, yeah.
So you're getting back on your bike now, aren't you?
Yeah, attempting to. I've done a challenge every year since I retired, sometimes more than one. And I was like, look, I don't know how much time, you have left in this physical state. So we need to kind of get it in as quickly as possible. So there's a slightly selfish element to it. But having done the Ed ride and having been with Jono and all the guys again, it was wicked. But for me, it was about doing as much as I could. For the first time ever, I had to get off. And that
what was that moment like? 'Cause
it was horrible, actually. But, the support from Cozza and Jono happened to be there at the time. And they were like, mate, you got to stop. Just get off. No, you don't need to continue. Just get off. And yeah, that was lovely.
I asked you earlier what winning looks like for you.
I suppose it's you reframe what winning is. You've always had that. Anything you've done has been competitive about how do you overcome it, how do you beat it. So there's still a part of that for me with this, and maybe a lot of that comes back to the connection to the charity focus that we're having and Doddy's. And, I've felt from day one, since speaking to Kenny and a couple of the other lads, that they've almost gone, mate, here you go, you're in off the bench for this, We've done the hard work. Now you get the rest of it done. Winning looks like just, I've got a wonderful purpose. And I described it the other day, just when I was at the dinner. It's like, for the last 15 years, you feel like you've not had a proper fight to get into. Like your teeth have been a little bit blunt, you're happily just getting on in Bradford and Avon, but now all of a sudden you've got that, like, almost reinvigorated. It's like,
something.
Yeah.
The old Lewis.
Yeah.
Lewis Moody talking to Gail Davis. Still to come here on the UK Tonight. We'll hear from the England girls team competing in the Street Child World Cup in Mexico. And Liverpool backtrack on plans to increase Anfield ticket prices following fan pressure.
A lot of local and national seats are up for grabs.
Waiting for the people's vote on who will sit in them.
It's your chance to have a say
on who has a seat at the table. Follow Sky News as we give you the best seats in the House.
From voting
to the results,
the analysis,
and what comes next. Join us for Vote 26. Get the full story fast on Sky News.
Sky News has been given exclusive data showing every Palestinian who has been killed in Gaza since the war began. Our analysis of this pattern in the killings suggests that entire families were wiped out in their homes or shelters. The data and forensics team is a multi-skilled unit dedicated to providing transparent journalism from Sky News. We located footage of the aid drop to a tent camp in central Gaza.
These airdrops are falling in extremely populated areas.
We combine traditional reporting with advanced analysis of satellite imagery, social media, and other open source information. Now, this is just one of the strikes and incidents we've been able to geolocate across Gaza. Sky News has found Nazi speeches and marching music have been used as background sound on tens of thousands of TikTok videos as far-right groups try and spread their message. Sky News has seen 72,000 posts used in this way. There's no evidence yet of foul play at Heathrow. that shows weaknesses that enemies could take advantage of. Elon Musk says it is, quote, a viper's nest of radical left Marxists who hate America. Supporters say it saves lives and projects American power and influence.
I think we would generally be called far-right, sure.
It's called Return to the Land, and they invited me in.
A lot of people are going to be, why are you making Nazi references? Right. Well, why wouldn't I?
Its founder says he is building a fortress for the white race.
It's a racial association. I kind of want to ask you, after seeing this, do you think what we're doing is immoral?
We followed a social media trail that led us to Bristol, where a confrontation between protesters erupted into a full-scale riot.
Here it really is pitched battle skirmishes, hurling missiles, throwing punches.
I'm Tom Cheshire, Sky's data and forensics correspondent.
Coming up, we're going to hear from the England girls team who are competing in the Street Child World Cup in Mexico this week. But first, we're going to take a look at the sport. Football club owners are often accused of not listening to fans' concerns. Teddy's here because that doesn't appear to be the case with Liverpool. They've decided to backtrack on planned ticket price increases. So explain to us what the club were going to try and ask fans to pay.
So the club, over the next 3 seasons, the initial plan was to raise prices in line with the Consumer Price Index, which is about 3.3%. I feel a bit out of my depth now. It's more like a kind of economics report, isn't it? But it's 3.3% over the next 3 seasons. But after consultation with the supporters board, the club have announced that what they'll do, they'll rise it by 3% for next season, the 2026-27 season. But after that, there'll be a freeze for 2027-28. No news yet on 28-29. The club say that they will continue to speak into the supporters board on a plan for future seasons, including commercial ideas to avoid future rises and address issues of affordability for the fans. Just to put it in context, people, there's attendance of more than 61,000 regularly at Anfield. Of course, it's the most storied club in the land, along with Manchester United. So there's huge demand for tickets there. But the ticket price for the cheapest season ticket will be £734.50. Most expensive will be £931. And for match day, the cheapest ticket price next season will be £30. £62.75 will be the most expensive match day ticket.
Still quite a bit of money, though, isn't it, as a football fan?
With kids and stuff,
yeah, and there's so much going on, cost of living, etc., etc. In terms of listening to the fans, that's obviously a good thing, but given what's been going on the pitch, you think that fed into their decision as well?
Yeah, it's purely speculation, and to be fair, we should caveat this with back in 2026, you may remember this story, Liverpool had announced plans to furlough their staff in the spring of lockdown in 2020, but they renegated or went back on that after a fan outcry at that time and kept the staff in employment. So there is a precedent, but it's been a very difficult season for Liverpool, coming off the back of a loss to Manchester United. First time they've lost to their great rivals in a double since 2016, so a 10-year period. 11th defeat of the season, which is their worst run since 2015. And this on the back of Arne Slot coming in last season, replacing the legend Jurgen Klopp, winning the title. A lot of money spent in the summer. Florian Wirtz came in, Ugo Ekitike came in. A lot of anticipation. Milos Kerkez at left back, and it hasn't really worked out. Thrashed by Manchester City in the FA Cup. Decent effort against Paris Saint-Germain in the Champions League quarter-finals, but 4-0 loss on aggregate. And then in the League Cup, which is the other major tournament, back in October, thrashed by Crystal Palace 3-0. So I think it's fair to say there is a little bit of disappointment there, and particularly would have stung with the Manchester United loss. So maybe there is a sense that they have to give the fans something back. Although just hope to finish off the season now. They are in fourth, need a couple of points to secure Champions League qualification, which of course is big for revenue as well for next season, which it is important. They want to stay competitive as well as give the fans what the prices they think are fair.
Yeah, I was going to say, how will Liverpool feel at the end of this season? Because high expectations at the start of the season, but it feels like in this latter half of the season, we haven't really talked that much about Liverpool. It has all been Manchester City, Arsenal. So on that note, as we come to the end of the season, what, 4 games left?
3 games for them, yeah.
3 games for them?
Yeah, Chelsea at the weekend and then a couple of league games against Villa and Brentford.
What will their end-of-year report say, as it were, do you think?
I think could do better. It was obviously the glory
that
of...
famous phrase.
Yeah, they won the 20th title last season, equalling Manchester United, which are the two biggest clubs. So that's huge for Liverpool to get back on their perch. Alex Ferguson said he knocked them off their perch. So they're back on it. But then they had the terrible tragedy of Diogo Jota passing away with his brother in a car crash, and that seemed to obviously affect things. They spoke very candidly about that. Did affect the dressing room. He was a very popular member of that, and a huge tragedy. But then they started the season with 5 straight wins in the league, and you thought maybe they've steadied the ship. They did have Ugo Ekitike come in and do well. Alexander Isak from Newcastle was a transfer saga that dragged on. But then Isak's had injury problems as well. Ekitike is now injured. Florian Wirtz, German international, has been sort of in and out of form as well. So I think it just hasn't quite ignited for Liverpool. So that will be the feeling come the end of the season. But that's the situation for Liverpool, of course, 6 times champions of Europe. And we'll update you in a second on 3 English clubs questing for European glory tonight.
James, can you do a big clap in front of your face? Perfect. OK, mate, in your own time.
One word to describe James Milner.
Legend. Unique. Consistent.
Dedicated.
Intense.
Brilliant.
He just loves to win.
I think he's everything you'd want to be in a footballer.
The Premier League loves James Milner.
Hi James, congratulations on breaking the all-time Premier League appearance record and how hard it is to keep going. You've done phenomenal, so well done.
To be appreciated by your teammates and appreciate what you give, that's pretty special.
England's future looks healthy, and here at Leeds United's training ground, they reckon they're once again grooming tomorrow's World Cup stars.
The board now are realising that you've got to have your money in your academy, you've got to believe in it, because the spiralling costs of everything within the game, I think you've got to try and bring people through that you've blooded yourself.
Yeah, it was amazing.
Continuing the sporting theme, the Street Child World Cup has kicked off in Mexico City with 30 teams of street-connected young people travelling from across the world to take part. The event aims to use the power of football to challenge negative perceptions of disadvantaged young people and call for greater protections and education. Well, the England's girls team competing in this tournament have been selected from community programmes, schools and youth services and will share their lived experiences as advocates for street-connected young people, as well, of course, as their football skills. I'm pleased to say joining us from Mexico are England teammates Nadine Nugent, Sophie Huss and Bella Hughes, along with Laura Redyke-Johnson, a senior youth worker at Everton in the community who has helped put together this England girls team. Ladies, really good to see you this morning. I'm going to come to you first, if I may, Laura. Talk to me about the team of girls you've assembled out there for the Mexico tournament.
First and foremost, they are truly the most incredible women that I've ever worked with. We have 10 young women participating, representing their country as part of Team England. They're a part of our programme over at Everton in the community. I have the honour and privilege of being a senior youth worker over at Everton, and I help to engage women and girls from all across the Liverpool City region, ensuring that sport, the arts and everything in between is free at the point of access and accessible. And these are just some of the incredible young women that we're around today, and we're in Mexico representing our country, which is just wonderful.
I'm going to speak to your captain, if I may. Talk to me about your involvement in this tournament and why it means so much to you to be there, not just as a football player, but as an advocate as well.
Coming from a city like Liverpool, it's kind of hard to get loads of good experiences, such as coming to Mexico and playing football. So being able to come here with a big group of girls and play football is probably just the best thing ever. And being able to be captain to a group of girls is just fantastic. And I think now that we're here, we're seriously advocating for girls in football and equality and being around a group of people, not even just from England, from Malaysia, USA, Mexico. We're all going for the same thing, and I think that's just what's beautiful about this tournament.
Yeah, Katie, very much so. And Sophie, I'll come to you if I may. What connects all the girls out there is, of course, the love of the game, but also your backgrounds. You've not come from a world of advantage and the normal footballing route. You know, you come from a background where you are street connected. Explain to us what that means and what message you're trying to get across about your background, the background of so many other young girls there this tournament.
So representing England is a great opportunity, and it's just incredible.
Yeah, I think kind of, you know, as you can see,
to be out there representing England, like you said, it's overwhelming, and to sort of talk on TV about this as well. I know you're as part of the preparations. Perhaps you could talk about the football, Sophie. When do you play? Who do you play? What chance have you got in this tournament?
So we had our draw last night. We faced Brazil and Mexico, which will be two very competitive games. But I think we do have a great chance. We've put in a lot of effort over the last year, and I believe we do have a very good chance of winning.
Oh, yeah, Sophie, I like that, backing yourself, and people will be cheering you on at home as well. And just a word from Bella. Obviously, your football's going to do the talking as you take on Brazil and Mexico. We'll look out for those high-scoring results in your favour. But in terms of the message that you want to put across about street-connected young people and smashing those negative perceptions, what would you say to people watching the tournament?
I think it's just good for everyone to get involved, because it's not everyone's got the same life and everyone's facing different problems.
Yeah, I tell you what, in sport, it really is a level playing field, isn't it? It's just about the route in, and you're lucky you've got lots of community groups and schools helping you. Well, listen, girls, good luck in the tournament. As you said, that's no mean feat, having Brazil and Mexico as your first two games. But best of luck to you. We'll be cheering you on.
Thank you so much. Come on, England.
Come on, England, indeed. Thanks, girls. Right, let's take a quick look at the weather, shall we?